gray antelope to our right are known as the greater kudu. Now, the greater kudu are the second tallest antelopes. Looks like there's going to be two more coming as well. Their pattern is rather sharp and jagged, which is how you can tell that they are in fact the Maasai species of giraffe. Now each pattern on a giraffe is unique to the individual. There's tens of thousands of muscles actually. These flamingos out here happen to be the greater flamingos, and are the largest out of all flamingo species, standing at heights of up to 5 feet per now. That's why I like to say they are very perceptive animals. And also the only animal on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve you can pet while you're outside. The last time, this does happen to be a very real truck, and also a very real human that is really driving this real truck. And the road out here does get really bumpy, so it'll be real important for your safety. Please stay safe and keep your hands on the speed and legs inside the truck throughout our entire safari. Now, for instance, if you have not already done so, I would recommend taking a quick glance above your head so you'll see an animal spotting guide up there. We won't be able to see every animal coming from the spotting guide, but you know, I at least have that pretty good. You should have a decent amount of luck and see maybe 1, 2, or even if we're particularly lucky, 3 of them. Now, if you happen to have any cameras or phones with cameras with you, well, you're in luck because this is what I like to call a photo safari. So I would recommend taking those cameras out now, hang on to them tightly, of course, placing them into a sport, action, and or even video setting, as those are going to be some of the best ways for you to see and remember these amazing animals later on. After all, we won't be able to stop for every animal that we may see, and they certainly will not stop for us, but I'll try to do the best that I can. Now here in a moment, we're going to make our way into an area known as the Little Ituri Forest, which is actually how we're going to begin this 2-week-long safari adventure of ours. That is correct, friends. We're going to be off here for the next 2 weeks, but you know what? Hakuna Matata, no worries. Those 2 weeks sure are going to fly by so fast. You'll probably feel an awful lot like 20 minutes or so. Off to that right-hand side, you're going to see one of my favorites, which is the okapi. Now, the okapi has striped pants, striped legs, or striped pajamas, making them look similar to a zebra. However, they are actually the second cousin of the giraffe. In fact, they are, you can tell they are related to the giraffe because they actually have a very similar skull shape. Their skull is just a little smaller than the giraffe's skull. Now, the striped pattern on the okapi is entirely random, which actually allows them to blend into their surroundings. They can actually blend in so successfully to their environment that they've actually earned the nickname the Ghost of the Forest. Now, the reddish antelope off to the left are known as the bongo. Both male and female bongos have horns that allow them to stay hidden as they run through the cover of thick bushes and foliage. While the gray antelope to our right are known as the greater kudu. Now, the greater kudu are the second tallest antelope on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, standing at heights of up to 55 inches or 4 feet 7 inches tall. Those greater kudu are female, which you can tell because only a male greater kudu has horns. Now, up ahead in that large nest, you'll find 2 beautiful black and white birds with an orange bill. These birds here actually get their name from the orange bill, which is shaped similar to an English saddle. So they're called the saddle stork. Now, the saddle stork stands at a height of about 5 feet tall, making them roughly 5 inches taller than that of the greater kudu. Might have also seen to the left in the back was the very famous black rhinoceros, also called the black rhino. It's kind of hard to see because it was so far back there, though. Now, the black rhino weighs in at up to about 3,000 pounds. It's also got a charging speed of roughly 35 miles per hour, which makes me quite glad that it was not interested in charging at us, actually. The black rhino is actually a rather solitary animal that will often prefer to live alone or even in a small and tight-knit group. And it will often group up that night and will have safety in numbers while they sleep. But now we're going to go ahead and make our way out of the Little Ituri Forest. However, we are going to continue on this rather lengthy journey of ours into the Salty River. As you head into the Salty River, you can already see some beautiful white birds with gray feathers. On the island to the right, you might notice the pink-backed pelican. These pelicans out here actually get their name from a pink coloration which is on their backs and will extend to their extremities during their mating season. Now, they are colonial nesters, meaning both the male and female pelican will sit on the egg together at the same time, which I think is very, very romantic. And down in the water on the left-hand side, you're going to see the very famous Nile hippopotamus, also called the hippo. And the hippo does weigh in at up to about 5,500 or 5,500 pounds, making them one of the heavier animals on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. In fact, a group of hippos like that is called a bloat of hippos.
Whoa.
The hippo is actually one of the more territorial animals, so they often will protect their territory. You can have very long tusks, which can grow to the length of up to 18 inches, or roughly 1.5 feet long. I do happen to hear the very distinctive sound of a ticking clock, which is coming from somewhere up ahead of us, and indicates that we're now getting a little closer to the famous Nile crocodile. Now, the crocodile does grow to lengths of up to 16 feet. So on average about 12 to 14 feet long. They can also grow to weights of up to about 500 pounds, which is around 1/10 or 10% the weight of a hippo. Of course, the crocodile is also known for having one of the strongest bite forces in the animal kingdom, as those jaws of theirs can even snap shut with a crushing force of up to about 2,000 pounds per square inch, which actually allows them to eat up to about half of their body weight in a single feed. In fact, those are just a few reasons that I would encourage you to never smile at a crocodile. But now it looks like we're making our way here into a change in the foliage, indicating that we're now getting a little closer to the savannah. You know, I think it might actually even be time for us to just ever so slowly make our way down into the savannah proper. And we're going to try to see if we can get a real nice up close and often very personal view of each and every single one of all these awesome and amazing animals who use the wide open spaces of the savannah as their home. In fact, I actually see coming up ahead of us some rather interesting gray or black antelope species. I'm actually notice the wildebeest off to the right-hand side. Now, the wildebeest are in fact an antelope species, where the word wildebeest is an Afrikaans word meaning wild beast. So yes, they are literally an antelope and a wild beast all at the exact same time. In fact, the wildebeest also go by an alternate name called the gnu, spelled G-N-U with a silent G, which is actually the name for the sound that they make when they run, as well as also being the Swahili word for wildebeest. Off to the right-hand side, though, you're going to see a bit of a dazzle. That would be a dazzle of zebras, that is. That's the name for a group of zebras that they get because the striped pattern on a zebra is actually symmetrical from the hind quarters of a zebra and stretching all the way up to their head, which actually allows them to blend into a group of zebras. In fact, they're actually so successful at blending into a group of zebras that when the light from the sun reflects off their striped pattern, it will actually dazzle the eyes of a predator that attempts to distinguish one zebra from the entire group. Now, these zebras out here are in fact the Hartmann's Mountain species of zebra. They're one of the smaller species of zebras. They also happen to have much thicker stripes on their hind quarters than other species, as well as a white underbelly, as in fact their stripes don't actually wrap around their bodies. Now, coming up ahead of us and on the left lane down behind the cave, kind of hard to see, that's my favorite animal in the savannah, known as the African wild dog, also called the African painted dog or the painted wolves. Those painted wolves are very close cousins of the domestic dog, like the ones you may have at home, so they are in fact canid or canine. Sadly, though, they are an endangered species, as they used to number roughly 500,000 about 100 years ago, but now today the number is barely 7,000. In fact, if you'd like to help support rebuilding their numbers, you can even go online and donate to an organization known as the Painted Dog Foundation at their website, painteddog.org. Off to the left-hand side, you're going to see some beautiful reddish antelope with curved horns known as the sable antelope. Now, the sable antelope actually have special significance to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and that's actually because we use them as the symbol of our reserve. They are also some of the most protective out of all antelope species. They typically will sit and stand in a circular formation with their horns facing outwards, so as to much more easily protect themselves from predators. So we're going to have a nice close view of that nice little dazzle off to your right now.
Nice little dazzle.
Oh, looks like there's going to be 2 more coming as well. Ooh, actually, it looks like one of these newcomers up here looks to be a rather small zebra. I'm gonna guess it's probably a baby zebra. In fact, interestingly enough, a baby zebra can tell its mom apart from other species, from other zebras, by simply looking at the striped pattern on a mom's hind quarters. I also see some other interesting antelope species coming up ahead of us on the right side laying down. It kind of looks like a gazelle laying down between these 2 bits of tall grass to the right. That's my favorite antelope species, known as the springbok. Now, the springbok gets its name from how it springs in a motion. It can actually leap forward about 13 feet and hop up roughly 6 feet into the air. But when they do so, it is neither called a hop, jump, leap, skip, or spring, as it's in fact actually called a pronk. Now, when they pronk, they are actually rather quick, as they can do so at about roughly 60 miles per hour. So I'd say they're about as quick as they are adorable. But now it looks as though we found a nice little tower. That would be a tower of the giraffe off to the left. Now, if you were to look closely at the pattern on any of these giraffes, you may notice at the edge, too, their pattern is rather sharp and jagged, which is how you can tell that they are, in fact, the Maasai species of giraffe. Now, each pattern on a giraffe is unique to the individual, as no 2 patterns are the same, acting sort of like our fingerprints. Of course, the giraffe is the tallest animal on this family. They can stand at heights of up to 20 feet tall, so on average about 16 to 18 feet tall. They are also roughly about 6 feet tall when they are first born. Now, a female giraffe does give birth standing up, so that does mean that a baby giraffe or calf would have about a 6-foot drop to the ground when they're first born. I would say the first thing that a baby giraffe would feel would be gravity. But, you know, don't worry, as that drop actually does help push the air out of the baby's lungs, so I guess it works okay for a baby giraffe in the end. This rather interesting antelope to the right of us is known as the eland. They are the largest antelope on the reserve, standing at a height of roughly 6 feet tall at the shoulder. They've also got an impressive standing leap of roughly about 5 feet into the air. So some large folds in the neck called a dewlap, which is how they keep cool on a hot day. But now it looks as though we've made our way into hippo territory. The word timbo is a Swahili word for a famous animal who is famous for being very large and very heavy. And no, it's not the largest monkey in the world like you see to the left. That is the mandrill monkey. Male mandrills weigh in at up to about 100 pounds, while female mandrills are right around 40 pounds. They're around half the size and half the weight. So that one's probably male. In fact, you might actually notice that mandrill seems to have a really short stub-like tail on its hindquarters. The fact that it has a tail is actually how you can tell that it is a monkey. It's actually all monkeys have tails, while actually all apes actually don't have a tail. Right there we found the timbo to our right. Yes, that is the elephant. Of course it is the African elephant out here. We are in Africa. That would make it awkward if it was the Asian elephant. Now the African elephant does happen to have some large ears, which coincidentally is shaped like Africa, the continent. Of course, the elephant is the heaviest animal on land, as they can weigh in at up to roughly 13,000 pounds. That's about 6.5 tons. That means that they can weigh in at up to about the same size and weight as an unleaded semi-truck. They can also eat up to about 300 pounds of foliage every single day, which actually caused them to be a bit of a pest problem to a group of farmers over in Kenya. That's because when the elephants would walk too close to the farmers' crops, they actually eat what they perceived as a free buffet. Naturally, that's something those farmers obviously did not like one bit, as they were losing a very large portion of crops to the elephants. So they wanted to get rid of the elephants. But in fact, Disney obviously did not want the elephants losing their habitat, so they made use of some knowledge they learned about elephants right here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. That knowledge being that elephants are in fact afraid of bees. So they took that knowledge over to Kenya, where they built a very special fence around the crops called a bee fence or a beehive fence. So now when the elephants walk too close to the crops, instead of eating that buffet, they disturb the fence. This disturbs the bees. The bees will then fly out and begin buzzing as they do, and then the elephants, upon hearing that buzz, will become spooked and scared and go around the crops. That program also works out nicely for the farmers in the end, as they have now gained a new crop, which is actually the bees' honey. In fact, if you'd like to support that project in the end, you can go online and order some of that imported honey from Kenya by simply looking up the name of the project. It's called the Elephants and Bees Project. It looks like we actually get to see a small little baby elephant off to the left. Of course, that baby might look rather small and tiny compared to all these other elephants out here. It's actually quite a bit larger than a human. And the reason for that is actually the average size and weight for a newborn infant baby elephant is roughly about 200 pounds. That's about the same size as the average adult male human. Now, an elephant's trunk actually has more muscles in their trunk than we have in our entire body. Somewhere in the range of the tens of thousands of muscles, actually. But now it looks as though we're going to make our way here into a flamboyance. That would be a flamboyance of flamingos. Now, these flamingos out here happen to be the greater flamingos, and are the largest out of all flamingo species, standing at heights of up to 5 feet tall. They're also, you may notice some of them are standing on only one leg. That's something they do because the leg that's up has gotten too cold when they stand in the water, so they're trying to warm that leg up. If they were to stand on 2 legs all the time, they often will get too cold, so they will need to alternate which leg is up and which leg is down there in an attempt to stay warm. Also won't stand on 0 legs or very long either, but that's because that is something they just 1,000 pounds. They still have the same charging speed as that of their cousin, the black rhino, that we kind of sort of saw earlier. Up to roughly 35 miles per hour, so of course a group of rhinos like that would be called a crash of rhinos. Now the white rhino does actually get their name not for their skin color, as instead they are named for their wide jaw, which is useful for eating the grass and other foliage which grows on the ground, making them actually a grazing animal. In fact, it was even the Dutch who named them, as they called them the wide rhino, using the Dutch word for wide to describe their wide jaw. That word wide was then translated into the Afrikaans language as the word white, which was then mistranslated into English as the word white. That's how they became known as the white rhino. But now it looks like we've spotted something up ahead of us. Let's try to see if we can't spot the fastest animal on land off to the left. Yes, that would be the cheetah.
There they are.
Now the cheetah does run at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. You can also go from 0 to 60 in about 30 seconds, which is an impressive acceleration. They are, however, a sprinter and not exactly a marathon runner, so they can really only maintain their top speed for just a few hundred yards before they need to rest for a few minutes. In fact, a group of cheetahs is actually called a coalition of cheetah. The cheetah is also a member of the cat family, so just like the domestic cat you may have at home, they are feline and they do purr, making them actually the only large cat that purrs. But now it looks like we made our way into the throne room of the jungle, where we can clearly see the king and queen of the jungle. Well, the king's up and about while the queen is lying about on her throne. Lions will spend a majority of their day asleep. They will actually sleep anywhere between 16 and 20 hours a day. That's on average roughly 18 hours a day that they sleep. That's certainly something I have taken to call a lion share of the day. In fact, by the time they reach the end of their lifespan, they've really only been active and awake for about 1/3 of their life.
Oh, she's laying down.
Of course, they won't sleep that long because of laziness, as they often will use the time that they do sleep to conserve their energy for when they need to hunt. Although I will specify that it is normally the lioness doing all of the hunting, as the male lion mainly will actually stay back and protect the pride from other external threats. I certainly feel like they have the right idea though, sleeping as long as they could sleep. As I definitely wish I could take that nice 18-hour nap that they take every now and then.
Get up, Tom.
It could definitely do me wonders right about now. I also happen to see up ahead of us and on the left is the largest burrowing animal in the entire world. That would be the warthog. Now the warthog does actually have two sets of tusks. Now the larger set, which is actually on top of their snout, is the set that most everyone seems to be more familiar with. And it's what they used to dig out the large burrows like the ones you see off to the left. While the smaller set is actually razor sharp and actually sits underneath their chin. Now that's actually mostly used for defense. Of course, even though they are the largest burrowing animal in the world, they often won't dig their burrows out from scratch, as they would much rather prefer to dig out the smaller burrows belonging to another animal, such as an aardvark, so that they don't actually expend quite so much energy digging. Although now it looks as though we're going to make our way here into a ranger outpost, also called a warden's post. Now the rangers whom are stationed here enjoy spending lots of time on lengthy holidays, and when they go on vacation, that's when we'll leave in charge of their camp some peculiar animals who are very perceptive. In fact, these animals out here tend to be so perceptive I've actually taken to calling them the greatest of all time. Or the goat. So friends, I'll bring you in and present you a small herd of adorable Nigerian dwarf goats whom are watching over the camp of our vacationing rangers. In fact, these goats, if you were to look them real close and in their eyes, you may even notice that they happen to have a rectangular pupil, which gives them a very wide peripheral vision, far wider than an animal with circular pupils, such as some would have. That's why I like to say they are very perceptive animals. Also, the only animal on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve you can pet while you're at Disney's Animal Kingdom. In fact, if you'd like to pet one of these goats, all you gotta do is make your way into the Harambe Village and look for Refugees Plan to Watch. It's where you can board a short 5-minute train ride called the Wildlife Express, and will take you into the conservation station. Once at the conservation station, you just need to make a short walk over to the affection section, which is where you'll find an affection and pet Jesus by the Nigerian dwarf goat, among other animals that you can in fact pet. But now it looks like we've seen a lot of cool animals out here on the Harambe. One of us observing sadly a large number of those animals are suffering from having lost control of modern society. We here at Disney are working tirelessly to preserve and protect all animals and their habitats for future generations. And we do that with programs like the Disney Conservation Fund, although we do so need as much help as we can get. In fact, you know, this might help to see these amazing animals on your safari inspire you to get involved in any way you can, because honestly, if you don't, you really will. Now, if you decide to help at Disney's Animal Comfort, Disney makes it very easy to use a simple approach any first investigation and the Harambe Village's Disney will match any donation given $1 cents effectively double your donation, which if you say very cool place is wonderful, as it is in fact a 100% match of whatever you decide to donate. Although now it looks like we're near the edge of the Harambes, I recognize that from very basic up to the Harambe Village. Now, if I have any wilderness explorers on board, you're going to want to know the name of your truck is called the Simba 1. That is correct, it's the SIMBA Simba, just like the lion, followed by the number 1, just like the number. Drop the yellow ways up the trail on page 14 or 15 of your wilderness explorers handbook, not too dark. But, you know, friends, I don't like to say goodbye. That's just because that word goodbye is far too sad and far too final. So